Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Happy Halloween, everybody. It's another day in Delphi with crazy stuff happening. I hope you guys are being safe and having fun on your happy Halloween day. Happy Tuesday. Oh, goodness. So I had the school, the elementary school parade. So I had to watch that. So it took me a minute to catch up on everything that was going on, but I wanted to make sure I got a chance to talk to you guys today, because once the kids come home and everything gets crazy for Halloween and the families come over, I don't know if I would have a chance to go live and discuss what's going on today. So let me say hi to you guys. Hi, Crime Curious. Happy Halloween. Hey, Rexy. Julio Suave. What's up, Sleuth Investigate? Hi, Crime Story Diva. Hi, lovely Atias. What's up, Bridget? Hi, Dapper Sucks. Unmasked Truth. Hello. Hey, Bridget. Salty Sea. Never get sick of that intro. I know I love that intro. Rexy. Hey, that's hip hop. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Shauna. Hi, did I say hi to Sherry already? I don't know if I did. If I didn't, hi, Sherry. Hi, Maligator. Hi, Crime Story Diva. I'm still kind of sleepy. So if I say hi to people like 4 times, just let it be. Okay. Just let it be. Hey, Miranda. Hi, S. Hockett. Hi, Carla. Hey, Angie Bebe. Let me see who else just came in. Hey, Dina. Skate. What's up, Heather? Hey, Mandy. Mary Jane, because I'm in love with Mary Jane. Hi, Ava. Corey. Here till the meeting begins. Okay. Hi, Silas. Is it Silas? I think it's Silas. Our bucket list has holes. Happy hello. Hi, Jen Lou. Sweet Melissa. What's up, Rachel? Deets. Oh my gosh, Deets. I need you back in my life. Can you just come back for just a little bit and just make things make sense? Hey, Casey. Hey, Rusty. I love when you sing that song. Hey, Tinker Tot. So, God, I don't even know where to begin. So we know that Richard Allen had a hearing today, and so he showed up to court, and the judge was there, and 500 different attorneys were there. And so we had Baldwin and Rosie, who showed up to represent Richard Allen pro bono. They had both filed by the time court was in session this morning to represent him pro bono, which means that they become private counsel, and the pro bono part just means that it's at no cost to Richard Allen or his family. So they filed that, and they were there to appear on behalf of their client, Richard Allen, who says that's who he wants as his attorneys. Now, Richard Allen is in the back with his new attorneys, and I'm going to say his name wrong, probably Labrato, whatever. I'll figure it out as we go, because he's obviously not going anywhere yet, and Scremin. So the dogs are already wrestling. So he was in the back talking to his new attorneys. Oh, your daughter's being induced tomorrow. Oh my gosh. That's so exciting. Hi, Marshall. Judge Gold didn't disappoint. As crazy as I know, it's just another, it's like, I swear, it's like we're watching a live chess match. More exciting, probably. But I feel like that's what we're doing. And it's like, nope, nope, check, nope, check. And it's like, I don't know who's going to end up with checkmate at this point, because everything is just such a cluster. I don't even know. So judge comes out apparently 40 minutes late. And what I'm hearing, and I don't know if it's true or not, but what I'm hearing from somebody who was there was that the elevator was apparently broken, and so Richard Allen had to take the steps and he fell. I don't know. That was from Frank Meister, so I'm assuming he would. I think he's pretty legit, so I would think that I can trust that. But so I guess it got delayed a little bit while they took care of that, and I don't think he was hurt in any which way. This whole case is the Joan Crawford, mommy dearest. This whole place is a mess, Gaff. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, is that he fell on the steps, so that he was okay though. So so it took a little bit to get him back. It's down, dirty, and dishy. I had that on my list of things to talk about too, because yeah, I think so. I think it's a little dirty, this whole dirty timeline. But so it took a little bit, and so then the judge came out essentially and was like basically, so like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what do you want? And I'm going to play some clips too from Bob. And I think Bob Motta from Defense Diaries, if you guys aren't subscribed to Bob Motta, I think you're missing out. So I'm going to play a clip, but I also I think he's driving home. So I sent him the link if he wants to hop on while he's driving. I don't know if he's going to respond though, because he's driving. Hi, C-Dub. Birdie's Crime Chat. Oh, thank you. Spanked. Yeah, spammed, spanked. I don't know. It all goes together at this point. It's like a reality TV show. It really is. Oh, now the dog just sneezed. Bless you. Oh, really? I don't know. Hopefully she'll come on over then. He's very passionate about justice. He is. And then tomorrow I'm actually going to have another defense attorney on tomorrow after. Oh, he did? Okay. He was over at Michelle After Dark. I didn't know she was live. Shit. I love Michelle. But I'm going to have another defense attorney come on and give us their perspective on what they think of this chaos. I'm going to play you guys a clip. I don't know if you guys may not be old enough, or maybe you don't remember it, but you probably know the quote. But I'm going to play you guys the clip, because this is how I feel about this case, or how these hearings and this trial. So hold on, let me pull it up for you. Make sure I share the audio. Do you guys know what movie this is? You're gonna know this. You're gonna know the saying as soon as he starts talking. It's Al Pacino, baby.
Allowed to go free, then something really wrong is going on. Mr. Kirkland, you are out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order. They're out of order. That man, that's crazy. The crazy man raped and beat that woman there, and he'd like to do it again. He told me so. It's just a show. It's a show. Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. Hey, Frank, you want to?
Hey, Frank. Oh my gosh, this is exactly. You're out of order. No, you're out of order. This whole trial is out of order. That's how I feel about this, because I'm like, this is just. I don't know. It's like I quit. But Cheeto doing pitch perfect. I know, right? This is you're out of order. I'm severely not up to date on the Delphi case. Well, Bertie, don't worry, because it's all going to start over. So you have a chance to totally catch up. Because everything that we've discussed in the last few months is basically a wash, and it's gonna be gone. I could totally picture them doing that, like especially to the judge. She's like, you guys can't be here," and he's like, "No, you're out of order," and she's like, "You're out of order." And Baldwin's like, "This whole trial's out of order." Oh, I felt that in my soul. I know, it's so bad. So essentially, she comes in and is like, "What are you guys doing here? What's changed? What are we doing?" And I'm gonna let Bob explain it, if whether he comes up, or I'm just gonna play his clip that he from when he got out. But she essentially tells them, like, "Hey, Richard Allen, I know that these are your attorneys that you want, but I'm sorry, I just can't allow it." It's just, you're sorry, you're done. I can't allow it. These are your new attorneys. Enjoy. I'm just like, wow. Okay. We need the men in black. No kidding. Just come in and just wipe it clean. Wipe the whole slate clean, because we're starting over. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And so before we go into too much more, so last night, we were live, and the chat kind of got all kind of squirvy, but I want to say, like, a lot of this is like watching a reality television show, except for like that. This is like the Patties, the Williams, like this is their real life. This is Carrie's real life. This is what they have to live. Like, I can't, it's chaos for us as like the viewers. And imagine being like this is justice for their girls, and it's just being trampled all over. And then you have the likes of me. I mean, and let's be real, like, I'm just like, this is a fucking mess. So I'm struggling with that. This is so far away from anything to do with Abby and Libby. And I feel like, I think I've said this multiple times, I just feel like at this point, it's almost like there needs to be like a revamp. Like, everybody needs to go. The defense attorneys, the prosecutors, the judge, all of it. There's so much bias. There's so much history now. I just can't see that this isn't going to take over and not that obviously the loss of Abby and Libby is already going to be something that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. But what's happening now in this courtroom is legit going to continue forever. It's going to continue forever. And I know that there's like the pro prosecution, and there's like the pro defense, and then there's like the, pro constitution. I'm just feeling that I don't think people are seeing that big picture. Like, it's not about Rosie. It's not a Rosie. It's not about Goal. It is truly about the fact that what is happening in this courtroom is creating this case to last a lifetime. So I think anybody who has like any compassion, and it's like, we all say we want justice for Abby and Libby, but I'm really kind of concerned about the fact that I don't think anybody's understanding that these families are now going to be in court for the rest of their lives. This is never going to stop. And it's because of the decisions that are made, like the one today, that are causing it. No, they weren't there today, Idaho Charlie. They weren't. Hold on, my dog wants out. Give me a second. Well, they kind of did. I mean, what they're essentially doing... Hold on, let me let the dog out so it's not distracting me. Okay, sorry, you guys. No, I fear that there will never be a sense of justice because at this point, okay, let's take, for example, like BTK. You know, he confessed and he goes in front of everybody and he says, like, this is who I killed and this is how I did it and this is what I did with this person and that person. Even though there are speculations that there's obviously more, but my point is for those families, obviously the loss is still there. But at the end of the day, they know that he's admitted it, it's done, you know, he's in prison, and the story itself is essentially kind of mute because they know the facts, right? With this case, I'm like, it's going to continue to be fought in court for a long time. If he wins, the family's going to feel they didn't get justice because now there's no guilty party. If Richard Allen's team, if he is found not guilty, you know, it'll be like Kaylee Anthony's case. If the prosecution wins and he is found guilty, how do the families ever have peace knowing that he's going to be appealing, and now there's going to be massive amounts of reasons for the appeal to probably go through? Possibly a new trial that the family now would have to sit through. I don't think people are looking at that long game at all. And I'm thinking, like, these families, not to mention how much they're involved in social media. Well, some of them are involved in social media. The world is divided at this moment, I believe. There are some who are adamant that he's innocent, some that are adamant that he's guilty, some like me who I'm like, I have no idea. I just know this whole thing's a fucking disaster. And all of these types of people talk to the families. So it's always going to be a constant. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure he was the right guy? Are you sure there's not somebody else out there? What about a second person? What about if he was really guilty and he was found not guilty? I just feel like it's just so far gone. I just don't know how they're ever going to be able to trust the outcome of this. Right? I know. They're like, you guys want a fair trial? Oh, too bad. Here, we're going to do this instead. He is. Absolutely. He is innocent until proven guilty. And I firmly believe that. I do. And I will say, like, just with what we have right now, if you put me on the jury, I would probably have to vote not guilty. It depends because it's really hard. Oh, let me get this off the screen. You guys don't care to see that anymore. So when I served on a jury, and it wasn't for a murder case, but when I served on jury, essentially the judge like gives you your jury instructions, and it was almost like a list. And it's like, hey, did you find XYZ? Did you find X in the testimonies? Did you find Y in the testimonies? Did you find Z in the testimonies? And you mark yes or no. And if you mark no to any of those questions, then you have to find them not guilty. And it's like, it's almost like black and white. It's not as like we listen to the trial and we listen to all the testimony, we kind of get like a gut feeling. Well, at the end, it's like literally just a checklist of like, this is, yes, I had all these things. And yes, if I found all those things in the testimony, that means the person did violate this law. It's more black and white. Let me see. Yeah, ISP has been overly involved. Hey, Stargirl. Hey, Dark Horse Justice. The judge has a good God complex and will be the one made a fool of. She has made a joke of the whole system. It's gross. She should be fired, not just recused. I'm kind of at that point. I'm just like, we don't know what happened behind when they were in chambers. We don't know. We know what Rosie's saying via his documentation, you know what I mean, via like his motions, but we've not heard it. And this is another thing that I want to hear. I want to hear, did they sit there and say, hey, you know, that's fine, we'll just go, we'll just leave, you know, don't worry about us? Or did they go in there like I think they did, and Rosie's saying, no, like, this isn't fair, this isn't right, you can't like force us out. And I think the transcript and hearing that what happened in chambers is really important to be able to make that decision. So here's where I'm at. If the initial statement is to say that the attorneys went in there and they quit, they withdrew, they left, they're done, they quit. Okay, well, they quit as public defenders then. If that's the route you want to go, they quit as public defenders. Now, today, she goes and says, I made a finding, which I don't know where the hell that finding is, but not the point. But if she says, I made a finding that you guys, committed gross negligence in this case and you're disqualified. Well, that's not necessarily true, because you can't have that they quit and have that she had a finding they were disqualified. So which one is it? You don't get both. And by her saying, I had a finding that you guys committed gross negligence, proved to me, or pushed me more to believe that Rosie was right in what he said, was that she said, I'm going to go out there and read this statement about your gross negligence if you don't quit. So they quit. Now, why didn't she just go in front of, if this was the case, and I listen to, I like to listen to a lot of people because I like a lot of opinions, and that's why I let pretty much anybody in here with almost any opinion, because I really like people's opinions, and I like to kind of see, both sides of things. So I listen to prosecutors, and I listen to defense attorneys, and I listen to, judges, whoever I can listen to, because I like to learn. And essentially they're all pretty much saying the same thing, except for they're almost opposite. One's saying, well, they quit, and then the other one's saying, well, they committed gross negligence, and it's like, which one is it? Because there's no record of any of it. There's no record of withdrawing. There's no record. Well, I mean, I guess technically there is a record of her going into the courtroom and withdrawing for Baldwin and somewhat for Rosie, but that's not constitutional because it goes against Richard Allen's constitutional rights, because he wasn't there for it. And it's not like he wasn't available. He was just sitting in the other room. Well, there is none of that. There's none of that to even happen. She seemed annoyed when she came out. She came out like she was pissed. And I think we all kind of noticed that during that hearing. She had come out like she was pissed on the 19th. Right. That's true. It's going to have, I think that's like a big deal that I don't think people also see. It's like, it is going to have a ripple effect. And these cops being shady and dirty also has a ripple effect, because once that's proven, they got to go back and take away all the cases these people testify in. And I'm just so frustrated. Oh, I appreciate that. I think it's, I don't even know if it's impartial. It's like, I don't know which way I don't have that he's guilty or he's innocent. So I think that might come off as impartial maybe, but I just don't. There's just, what's happening right now is not the way the justice system and the judicial system is set up to work. And I get that she's the judge and she has like the authority in her courtroom to make decisions, but they have to go along with the law and they have to protect the defendant's rights, especially because he isn't guilty. He still has all of his rights. Like, you don't get to just take those away because you want to. Right. And this is what I'm saying, like, for the families, this isn't going to stop. And not to say that there wasn't going to be appeals anyway, because there would be. But the knowing that there's such negligence behind all of this, And I don't even know if the woman was right. I don't know. I don't know if she was right to do what she did in chambers, because we haven't heard it. She may say, no, that's not how that went down at all. I was talking to you guys threw a temper tantrum and you walked out. You know what I mean? She could have a totally different side. And once we hear the recording or see the transcript, we may go, well, shit, they did. They just walked away. Like, but then you can't say you had a finding of gross negligence because you haven't done anything to have that. If you're going to say they quit. That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't go together. Alan has a hell of a lawsuit against the police, the state, and the judge individually. Imagine if he is found not guilty. RC, you're right. But the parties involved and what's happening right now, all the cases with them are going to be appealed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't understand why he wouldn't be allowed to choose his own counsel. So he should be. So this is one of the things we had talked about before too, is he has the right. So part of his constitutional, part of all of our constitutional right is to have an attorney of our choice if we're paying for them, if they're private counsel. Now, one of the things I was saying last night, because I was looking it up yesterday, was that if you have a public defender, then you almost essentially lose the choice. But there has been plenty of cases that have actually gone to appellate courts where they said no, that the foundation essentially is that you can choose your own attorney. And so it's even been overridden for some public defenders who were removed from cases. It's typically people are removed from cases because the lawyer's like, hey, you know, these two, we're not getting along. Look at Sarah Boone. I mean, shit, she's on like number, 7, 8 now, whatever it is. It's normally because of that relationship. You got people who, in this case, who actually want to stay and the defendant wants them there. So essentially the constitutional right is to an attorney of your choice of private counsel. Now, if private counsel goes in and does something that is grossly negligent or has some other issue that the judge brings in, then what happens is they can disqualify even a private attorney. It's much harder, but they can do it. The problem here is they went in and said, hey, we're going to do this pro bono. They go into the courtroom. They're like, here we are. And she's like, no, you're disqualified due to gross negligence. And it's like, when were we disqualified due to gross negligence? When did you have this finding? When did you have this hearing? Where is that written? Where is that on the case record? Like, there's nothing there. Hold on. The dang dogs are wrestling. They won't stop. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's a huge deal that they were going to go in there and get paid nada. And essentially they were saying like, hey, if we aren't reinstated as the defense attorneys. Hi, Hybrid Pisces. Hey, Mar. Down dirty and dishy. My mouth dropped when I heard the new date. So yeah, so the new date is, hey, the Rockaways. The new trial date vacated the January one, which we knew was coming anyway, and it's now set for October through Halloween of 2024. Which, I mean, I don't even know if these new attorneys are going to be able to get their shit together by then, and so I don't even count on that date at this point until we get much closer. Yeah, even the dogs aren't impressed. They're not even interested. They're just like, we're going to go play. We don't care. I don't care about Judge Goal. Hey, Queen Elizabeth. Discharge will put him back in jail in harm's way in hopes that he will be to cover up for her crimes as well as the crimes of law enforcement she is covering up for. Well, I think that with Sleuthy up here last night, we put out a pretty interesting timeline regarding the leak of information. And, Mr. Mark Robert and Mitch Westerman, I think they should answer a lot more questions. And I hope that there's still an investigation into this because I think that there's more to it. And looking back into some of the old files, and like Christina was reminding me earlier, like Mark was putting out pictures, the unwatermarked. I was going to say unredacted, but that wasn't the right word. The unwatermarked ones, because Gavin Fish put out the watermarked ones of all the stuff that was in the water, and then but Mark Robert put that out on Facebook on August 18th with no watermarks. So yeah, those pictures had been out, and then he also put out a photo of the list of the searchers. And I think that that's been out there too. It's just like maybe like accumulated different bits and pieces. But I'm like, this guy's got, and with the picture of the girls, like I showed you guys yesterday, there's just so much to it. This isn't, I don't think this is a simple Mitch went into the office and took pictures. I just don't. I don't know why. And I hate to be so speculative, but it's just like my gut's saying something's wrong. What did we say yesterday? Like the math ain't mathin'. This whole thing isn't adding up. And it's just a dirty timeline. Right. And I think there's so much emotion behind it, but then she like apologizes to Richard Allen. Like, I'm so sorry that this has happened. And it's like, are you? And then like, I'm just going to play. I'm going to go in and play it. Let me make sure that he hasn't responded. Okay. I'll pull that up. Yeah. And he made sure to tell everybody, like, he didn't go and like verify them, vet them. He put them out for the world saying, hey, I don't know if these are accurate or not, but this is what I was sent. I remember that. So we'll listen to Bob. You guys, some of you guys have already listened to Bob, but I was trying to listen to him in between parade things. So I'll put Bob up here and we'll listen to what he says happened in court today. Okay, shit. Did I share audio? I don't know. I'm going to do it again. Right, Mama Bear? Right? It's like, come on. Okay. We'll listen to Bob. I'd put him on like 1.5 times speed, but he already talks really fast, so I don't think I need to.
Got there bright and early, and I was in there at 8 o'clock along with the usual suspects. And at about, I'd say 8:50, Baldwin walks in. Andrew Baldwin comes in. I don't see Rosie, but I had confirmation that I knew that they actually had, in fact, filed their appearances as private counsel. Additionally, David Hennessy showed up representing Andrew Baldwin, and I didn't see Scremmins or Labrado, the two guys that she just appointed. I did see McClelland, and then another prosecutor just entered his appearance, last name Luttrell. So they're sitting in there. Kathy Allen sat right next to me. David Hennessy sat right to my right. Both of them were at my right. I talked to David a bit, and was trying to get the lay of the land from him in terms of what he was anticipating was going to go on in there, and none of us knew. They didn't know. I certainly was just sitting there left guessing. The judge took about 40 minutes. She had us all sitting in the courtroom waiting. Baldwin.
And this is when supposedly, so according to Frank Meister, who was also there at the courthouse, and Frosty didn't say this, but Frosty was also there. Frank Meister said that he was told that Richard Allen fell because the elevators were broken, and so he had to take the steps and he fell. So it took him a while to get all that put back together and then for them to come into court. Frank Meister also made a comment that the look on Gull's face when she came in was just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you guys doing here? I'd hire that one, a badass lawyer with the last name Hennessy.
Wynn and Rosie were seated at counsel's table, along with McClelland and Luttrell over at the prosecutor's counsel table. And, I was trying to get a sense of what those two guys, meaning Baldwin and Rosie, thought was going to happen. And the bottom line is they had no idea. You know, I mean, they have the situation where the judge considers them withdrawn from the matter. Rosie in no way, shape, or form believes that he withdrew from the matter.
Okay, so you hear what he's saying, that the judge says, like, you guys have withdrawn from the matter. Okay, so they withdrew as public defenders, and now they're coming on pro bono. So, see, that's two totally separate things. Legally, that is two separate things. And neither are documented. So let's just make that very clear. Do we know for sure this Mitch person got the info? I mean, other than what Murder Sheet said, which I have questions about. Jen, I agree. I have questions about the whole thing. The only other reason we know about Mitch is due to Baldwin himself, who says it was his ex-employee, you know, friend of his that he still trusted, who was in his office. So I think that the general consensus is that Mitch is definitely involved. I have questions on this whole taking pictures of a laptop, and I think that's getting really mixed up into how things actually got out to the public, because the photos that Mark Robert posted of the F tree, the photos that Mark Robert posted of the items in the water, those pictures are not taken from a screen. They're not photos of a photo. And I know that the stuff in the water has been out for a long time. So did somebody else have that? I swore I had them unredacted when I very first brought them. That's not the right word. Not watermarked. But I went through my phone and I couldn't find them. So I don't know if it was just a Mandela effect or what it was. But in my head, I thought that I had them without the watermark. So Gray Hughes' F-tree photo is a picture of a screen, but the one that's posted in the Facebook groups is not. Correct, Christine? Okay, yes, thank you. So I have questions about that whole thing anyway, because there's pictures that are not taken from a computer screen. They are like legit, like photos I would just post to you guys from my phone or my computer, you know, like straight, like from a file. So I don't know. The whole leak thing does not add up to me, and it's making me question a lot of things when it comes to who's involved in what. And that's why I say I will put my tinfoil hat on, because things don't make sense. Oh, Sleuthy Goosey, I heard you were having fun. I think so too, C-Dub. So I think that was already, once it was out there, once people had it and they wanted to send it to other people, my gut feeling is that those were the people who were taking it from a computer screen. I'm not sure that Mitch was in there taking it, or maybe he did. Maybe he went in multiple times. That's what I'm saying. I have so many questions around it. So everything I have to say is utterly speculation, because but this is Christine. Why do you think his is taken from a computer screen? And I think that's the one that the color is actually changed on it too. I don't think that's the one that was originally posted in the group. There is two different F-tree pictures. Like somebody posted like an original one. I don't even know if it's an original, but the original post. And then somebody posted another one with different coloring. So there's like two different ones that ended up going out into the world, like from the beginning. All right, I'll have to look at that. Okay, let's listen to Bob. T. King, I at this point, we're on the same page. And I tried to say this yesterday too. It's like the judge's job is to specifically just be up there and rule on law. That's it. So her relationships with anybody don't matter. It comes down to the fact that for Richard Allen to have a fair trial when it comes to his Sixth Amendment rights, he has that right to his counsel. And they're not disqualified because there's no finding Whether she says there was one, where is it? I hope so. I hope they all are at this point. So it's more important to the trial that he has the attorneys of his choice than the judge. Because the judge doesn't have to know any of the evidence. Technically, they shouldn't know much about the case, like the evidence-wise of the case, when they go to trial. They're not like reading discovery. They're not looking at all the evidence pictures. Now, obviously, she's had to look at a lot that normally judges wouldn't have to look at because of the motions and all the attachments and things that she's now having to go through, or I don't even know if she ended up going through them. Shit, we don't even know if she did because they were gone. It's more important for this to be a fair trial for Richard Allen and to get justice for the girls, for him to have the attorneys of his choosing, more than it is for the judge to be there.
There was no hearing on the matter, but I don't want to jump ahead because I left that courtroom stunned at what I just witnessed in there, and not in a good way. I end up chatting with Hennessy quite a bit. Really bright guy, really funny guy, very skilled attorney. Handled, I don't know, dozens and dozens of murders. I mean, the guy knows his stuff. So at any rate, he didn't really have an idea either, and he asked me what I thought about the writ of mandamus. I told him I thought it was great. But remember, the writ of mandamus doesn't really have anything to do with whether or not Baldwin and Rosie are going to be back on the case at all. So finally, and I hadn't seen hide nor hair of Richard Allen either. I mean, I knew that he'd been transported there. So at about 9:45, they finally call the court to order. Judge Gull comes out of chambers. We've got it, and at that point, it's still just the four lawyers. You've got still McClelland, Luttrell for the prosecution, then you've got Baldwin and Rosie for the defense. I hadn't seen the two guys that she appointed. Now, I thought maybe they would be back talking to Allen, which turns out was the case. So they finally bring Richard Allen out. He acknowledged Kathy, I think he mouthed the words, "It's okay," or "It's going to be all right," something to that effect. He came in, and it was just odd. Like Gull sat there and said, "Okay, we've got McClelland and Luttrell on behalf of the prosecution, behalf of the state, and we've got Scremin and Librado on behalf of the defendant. And I see that late last night that Brad Rosie and Andrew Baldwin have entered their appearance as private counsel." And then she just sits there for like 2 minutes and doesn't say anything. And then she looks at Brad, Rosie, and says, "Okay, Mr. Rosie, what now?" And so he stands up and he says, "Look, Your Honor," and he kind of went through, he echoed what he had said in his, both his motion to DQ her and his verified notice that he was still considered himself counsel for Richard Allen. So he went through that again. He talked about, how they were coerced into withdrawing, and that, they were given no choice. It was either a public fleecing or, withdraw voluntarily. And, he said it was, he called it a strategic move is how he coined it, in terms of him saying, "I'm going to file something in writing." And then, because she asked him what changed, what's changed. So you've entered your appearance. What's changed in the last 8 days or 12 days? And, he said, "Well, the main thing that's changed is you've learned that Richard Allen has selected us as his counsel of choice, and that we have entered our appearance as his counsel of choice pro bono privately, and that changes the dynamic of the Sixth Amendment as it applies to Richard Allen and as it applies to the case. I'm not going to get into a long esoteric conversation about the Sixth Amendment and what it means when you have private counsel as opposed to appointed counsel, but they were no longer appointed counsel. So he was adamant in the fact that there was no hearing that had taken place. They had given no notice to Richard Allen of any kind of disqualification hearing whatsoever, and that at this point he's got due process rights and he's got Sixth Amendment right to choice of counsel that far exceed what he had at that time. So that was basically Rosie's answer, and Baldwin didn't say much. And so then Gull asks McClelland if the state has any opinion on it, and I can't remember the order. I can't remember if I think she may have. I think that she answered first, but I can't be sure. I got to look at my notes. But at any rate, I'm just going to put McClelland next, and he says that, well, he agrees with the court, that the court had found that there had been gross negligence on the part of both Baldwin and Rosie, and that, and they listed, there was the leak in December of 2022, and then this most recent link, the leak, and then one other thing that he said. And at that point, like, Gull says, okay. And then Rosie gets back up.
So hold on. So he said that, so she asked McClelland, like, okay, so what do you think? And he essentially says, I agree that there has been like gross negligence, and that, ultimately the prosecution just wants Richard Allen to have a fair trial. Because I wasn't there, I can't actually tell you how he said it, which is one of the things I want to ask Bob, is really what he said, because I think that's important to context too, is this gross negligence, where is that coming in? Because there's no finding of that. And you can't, like I said at the beginning of this, you can't have both. You can't say, well, they withdrew, so they're not part of the case anymore, or I have a finding of gross negligence, so they're not a part of the case anymore. You can't just say both and make both true and ultimately not have any of it on the record. That's just not how it works. And I don't know how to explain that to where people get, like, there's a structure that has to be done in order for all the findings come trial to be accurate or to be legal. Hold on, let me see. I got labeled an RA lover. That's not it. LOL, it's about constitutional rights, but I know you know that. LOL, we need a fair trial for actual justice, but Go will get this overturned. Well, I don't think we're done yet. I don't think we're done yet, because we do have the Supreme Court filings, even though it's not necessarily by these attorneys. It's going to bring into question everything that's happening with these attorneys, and so I think we're not done yet. And I'm happy that there is somebody watching the watcher, if you know what I mean. There's an oversight committee essentially that's going to say, hey, yeah, this is all okay, because once they start looking at the filings in the case, what that's going to do is the Supreme Court looks at all the filings and goes, okay, let's look at the filings and see why they're being hidden or why they're being pushed away. Oh, here's these filings of these attorneys. Plus, that's in the documents that were released yesterday. We ended up not even reading through them, but it's in the documents released yesterday that this third-party set of attorneys is putting in there essentially what's happening with Baldwin and Rosie. And so the Supreme Court, I'm hearing some different things about this too, and I just want to clarify that the Supreme Court accepted the application, and in essence, what that means is that they put it on their docket. They're like, okay, we will look at this. And that's huge. That's huge in itself, but they did not rule, unless somebody can show me the documentation where they did, because everything I've looked at, they did. The Supreme Court gave all parties until November 9th to submit anything they believe that this judge, the Supreme Court judge, should look at in order to make a ruling on that. So what is being accepted, or what is documented as like the Supreme Court, I don't know if that's the right terminology. I should pull it up. But essentially, it's like she's saying, yes, Supreme Court will look at this, and we are going to set it. We are going to set it on our docket. It does not say, yes, she's already ruled that Judge Gull has to reinstate everything. That's not happened yet.
And, you know, he talks about how there was no hearing, and there had been nothing filed. And I mean, it's the things that I've been complaining about for the last 5 days, or however many lives I've done regarding this issue, and the lack of due process in this case. And that this case is about two things. It's about justice for Abby and Libby, and it's about the Sixth Amendment right and the constitutional rights of the defendant in the case to get a fair trial, which goes hand in hand with justice for Abby and Libby. They're intertwined. And so the judge hears out Rosie. Baldwin doesn't really say much whatsoever. And Gull then proceeds to address Mr. Allen. And she says, you know, Mr. Allen, no. Before she addressed Allen, she said, okay, she said, well, here's my opinion on it. My opinion is that I made a finding, and she used the word finding, of gross negligence. Now, mind you, there has been no hearing. There was no hearing. No one can say that what happened back in chambers was a hearing. There may have been a recording of it, but there was no notice of any kind of filing by either the state or a sua sponte motion by the court to disqualify these two guys. There was no notice whatsoever to Richard Allen. He wasn't in chambers. He wasn't a part of the proceedings. The defendant himself was not a part of the proceedings in a proceeding that massively affects his rights and his ability to have a fair trial, and affects his ability to have the counsel of his choice. I just want you to think about being in a position as a defendant where a judge is telling you that in her opinion, that she doesn't think that these guys are a good fit. And so she ultimately says, look, I had a finding of gross negligence, which is absurd. There was no finding of gross negligence because there was no hearing. There was no substantive hearing. There was no evidence put on. She wrote a memorandum with bullet points, and that's what she considers a finding. There's not going to be an appellate court in the land that's going to find that to be ample in terms of disqualifying two qualified attorneys. So she ends up basically, you know, she says this finding language, which I'm just sitting there in the gallery, like stunned that she's saying these things. It's like, I feel like I'm in crazy world. Like, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. Like in all my years of practice, you know, I've never seen anything like it. And so ultimately she says, she addresses Richard Allen and says, Mr. Allen, now I understand that your preference is to have these two men represent you in your trial. And I appreciate that. However, in good conscience, I can't allow that to happen. I can't allow. She.
It's an interesting choice of words. I mean, I don't want to look too far into it, but it is an interesting choice of words. Like, I can't allow that to happen. And I can see like the pro prosecution side, the pro Gull side, where it comes from. Like, you know, she can't allow that to happen because then he doesn't get a fair trial because they committed gross negligence and because of all these things. And all of that might be accurate, but we're missing some steps legally to get there. And I think that's a big deal. And I can't pin it from StreamYard. Shoot. Hold on. I'm going to go into my channel real quick so I can. I'll play Bob so I can. I'm gonna go pin that so that the petition will be pinned.
Basically, just destroyed both of their reputations and credibility in terms of what they've done over the last combined 50 years of practicing law. Without any due process, without a real hearing of any kind, there's not going to be any kind of record of a disqualification hearing or motion that was filed. It's not how the law works. It's not how justice works. It's not how the Constitution works. I'm beyond. Like, I got to be honest with you. I'm beyond. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And so she flat out tells him, I can't allow for it. I'm not going to allow them to represent you. So she shut it down. Like, I went in thinking, I'm like, okay, well, they're going to enter their appearance. She's not going to be able to stop that from happening. And what I think will happen is that she will set the motion for the DQ. And then they'll have the hearing for the DQ.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's evidence put on and there's actual findings on the record after testimony and evidence is heard. She did none of that.
But yet she has a finding, which means she's already got a ruling that this is what's happened. And hey, maybe there's some secret thing that happened with everybody in the room and we're not aware of it. And maybe they brought Richard Allen in and, you know, Rosie's lying on his information that he put out. But he put out a verified document. And in the legal world, what that means is by penalty of perjury. He's verifying that this information is accurate. Not like, hey, you know, so-and-so told me XYZ. He's saying, no, you can find me guilty of perjury if it comes out that I'm lying. That's what the verified part of that document stands for. That's important, which means you should be more inclined to believe he's telling the truth. Because by writing that, he risks his entire career. Even if it wasn't verified, he risks his entire career by calling out a judge like this. Because he's going to be known in that circuit for doing what he did here.
I mean, it was stunning. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, she just shit all over Richard Allen's Sixth Amendment right to counsel like I've never seen. It was obscene, really. I don't care if you think Allen's guilty or not. Like, that's not even relevant here. Like, this isn't that question. This is about, is she just destroying this case so that it is guaranteed to get kicked back on appeal? And I think absolutely yes, based on what I saw in that courtroom today. And I don't know what's going to happen with either of these guys. I don't know if they're going to continue to put up the fight, you know?
So somebody else that was in the courtroom, and I believe it was Frosty, but don't quote me on that. I probably shouldn't even say because I don't remember if that's who actually said it or not. Said that Baldwin did go up to Kathy Allen and say it's not over. Like, they're not done. And it's not over. We know that because of the Supreme Court filings. So, and even though they're not from Baldwin and Rosie, they are, and they're not even on behalf of, they are tied together. I'll just leave it there. Like, they are tied together, and there's the stepping stone. Like, once that's done and the Supreme Court starts looking into all these things, this is going to unravel. It's not going to just end unless there's some information that we're not privy to that is going to, you know, that Judge Gohl or Nick McClelland or somebody else is going to be submitting, you know, by November 9th to the Supreme Court. This is going to be looked at. So, and that decision is going to be what the decision is. And whether we like it or not, we're going to have to accept it and just move on. Either way, whether it's, you know, she goes, the attorneys stay, they all stay, no matter what it is, that's what's going to be. And that's just how we won't be able to do, or I shouldn't say there won't be anything done after that until the trial's over and Richard Allen starts filing appeals if he's found guilty. I think that the Supreme Court, and that's another thing I want to ask Bob, because that's my understanding of it, and I want to see if that's correct. So the thing is I don't know how at this moment how Rosie or Baldwin would try to file anything when there's nothing on the record. I guess they can use what was said in court today, but because there's no findings, there's no disqualification here, there's no hearings, there's no nothing, there's no withdrawals submitted. What do they appeal? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you take to them and say, here's what's happened? It's almost like you have to write a whole new Frank's memorandum of 136 pages, but it wouldn't be Frank's, but I'm just being facetious.
I mean, she asked, so, and then at the end, thankfully, David Hennessy went up and he wanted to make a clear record of what happened or what didn't happen in terms of due process under the law, in terms of no notice to the defendant, in terms of everything that's gone on in the past 12 days. He made a very clear record. He was very eloquent in what he said, and he laid out the fact that, you know, the defendant's Sixth Amendment right has been violated, that her removing them from the case without notice, without due process, without a hearing, is improper and unconstitutional. You know, so he put the record together for the appellate court, at least from Richard Allen's side, to at least articulate what was missing. And it was, I felt awful. I felt awful for Kathy Allen, who was sitting next to me just weeping, as the guys that her husband wanted to have represent him and the guys that have been fighting their asses off for a year, whose practices got just destroyed because they've sunk all their time and effort into this case, only to have this judge strip it away with no basis. I'm talking about findings. There were no findings. Findings happen after a hearing. Her opinion on things doesn't matter at all in terms of the court record. There had to have been a substantive hearing. There had to have been witnesses and testimony, and that just didn't happen. So bottom line, you know, she asked, when are you going to turn the discovery over? And Baldwin's like, well, I don't know, I guess the end of this week. So that was it. You know, I guess the bigger news, or some news, I don't think there's anything bigger than what I've just talked about. She obviously struck the trial date, and I think that they set it for, bear with me, I think October 15th of 2024 is the new trial date. She still says they're still going to pick a jury out of Allen County.
They're going to pick a jury out of Allen County. They picked the new public defenders out of Allen County, and now the judges out of Allen County. Come on. Come on. Oh, so does the Frank's memorandum just go to the wayside? Technically, no. I mean, I don't know. Judge Gull could just do whatever she wants, apparently, so maybe. But what's supposed to happen is they're supposed to still be able to, the new defense attorneys would have to go in and argue the Frank's motion to get the evidence suppressed. Now she may not have put that on, you know, on the calendar yet, because obviously they just got the case. They're just getting the information. They don't even know what they're arguing yet. So she could say, hey, we're going to, you know, push this out until you guys can decide whether the defense team, because everything is filed on behalf of Richard Allen. The new defense team can go in and say, you know, we want to strike this, and we're not actually requesting this hearing anymore. Or they could go say, no, we do still want this hearing, and we just want a continuance of the date of it. It's going to be kind of up to them how it should go down. I mean, I don't even know. Nothing seems to go the way that it's supposed to here. So I really, I have no idea. Anything I've ever learned in any law stuff I've ever learned, this is not part of it. So it's like, what? I don't know. I don't know what she's going to do. She may just say, well, anything that they had outstanding, I ruled on the important stuff, and it's everything else is mute. But I mean, she's not supposed to. And much too small of a venue. Allen County contaminated jury pool. I don't know. It's just, they're all friends. There was the whole problem with pulling people out of Carroll County in the Delphi area was because it's too small, and there's and people, too many people know each other, and so on and so forth. And now part of the questions you're asked when you're on the jury is, do you know the judge? Do you know the prosecutor? Do you know anybody on the prosecution team? Do you know anybody on the defense attorneys? Do you know anybody on the defense attorneys team? And those people are gone. So the reason that they pull a jury or change a venue is to get where that is minimal. This is not, you're bringing everybody in from the same location. That's problematic. Yeah, everything's from Allen County, except for Richard Allen, ironically, and Nick McClelland, who won't give up the case to a special prosecutor, even though this is way above his expertise. A special prosecutor should have been brought in, but that's neither here nor there either. I'd have to go back and look at the orders for that, because I feel like there was like 3 options, and it was almost like pulled from a hat. But I don't quite remember. Does anybody in chat remember how they chose Allen County? Now, and every time that these things happen, like today, I think more people are watching. And there are people who will disagree and say, nope, she's totally in her rights to do whatever she's doing and shit. I mean, in my opinion, they're wrong, but who am I? I'm just a lady on YouTube, you know what I mean? So just take that for what you want. I try to listen to both sides. I really wish that Brett and Bob would do a live together. I think it would be very, very interesting. And throw like Steve from True Crime Web, like a CSI kind of person in there. You know what I mean? Just for shits and giggles, so that you can see like all different sides of like how it actually would turn out in a courtroom. And obviously Brett is a prosecutor, so he is much more pro-prosecution, but there are things that he's like, yeah, no, that's not how that works. And that you have to have this, that, and the other, because once again, doesn't matter what side you're on, there's still things that are precedent, and you have to follow the law. All right, let me pull this up. Oh, I had the new trial date up too. Let me see if I still have it up. It is jury trial starts 10/16, and they have it on the docket through 11/1. So 10/16 to 11/1. I'm surprised they're only expecting 2 weeks with all this evidence that they have, but we'll see. I wanted to show you guys this other article. Let me see if I actually have it. If I sent it to myself or not.
Do you want to go to France? Travel Modern. In the French BA.
I don't want to go to France. I don't know. Maybe at this point it's probably better. Well, what's terrifying is some on Facebook are ready to see RA put to death, and they are potential jurors, which is scary. That is scary. That's scary in general, even for like cases where I feel like, and I hate to continue to bring it, but like the Idaho case, like it's another case that I follow very closely, and I think that I think they're on the right track, and I think that we're going to trial with the right guy. But I will constantly tell everybody that I am happy that Ann Taylor is his attorney, because I think she's very good. And for me, that is more important. It's more important that he has a good attorney, even though I think he did it. He's still innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But I'm happy that he has a good attorney. I'm happy that he has somebody who's going to fight tooth and nail for his rights.
They were coerced into withdrawing from this case. Delphi murders case.
Richard Allen, the man charged in the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German, will be back in court in Carroll County. Samantha Johnson is live there this morning. Sam, a lot of new information over the past few days. What can we expect there today?
Well, Julia, we are expecting a big crowd here today. In fact, you can see there's already a few folks lined up here at the door. We just saw police come through with their canine crew.
So Bob Mata's up there somewhere. And then Kevin and Anya are up there, and Frank Meister and Frosty are up there. Somebody else was up there too, but I don't remember who it is now.
To do a security sweep. This will be the first time we've seen Richard Allen in more than 4 months. We do expect him to be here in person for today's hearing. The bigger question, and perhaps the main focus today, though, might be who is going to be representing him. And that's because you'll remember it was just a few days ago that the judge in this case, Judge Frances Gull, appointed 2 new attorneys for Allen after she said Allen's original public defenders stepped down. Well, that's when the original attorneys fought back, saying they were coerced into withdrawing from this case, and now they're fighting to stay on it. In fact, 13 News has confirmed the original defense team has filed paperwork to continue representing Allen pro bono if need be. Now, another twist in this case this morning. In just the last 24 hours, a different group of attorneys has filed a petition with the Indiana Supreme Court. They want the justices to rule that Judge Gull acted inappropriately by removing court records from Allen's file. So we took those concerns to a longtime defense attorney and former prosecutor who is not associated with this case. We asked her what a petition like this.
Where's that at? You mean like where this is? This is at the courthouse in the early hours before the hearing this morning too.
This could really mean. Take a listen.
To that end, essentially, they're saying, can you tell the lower court to stop breaking the rules? So it's really a fancy legal way of saying, follow the rules and don't break them again.
So what could this mean really for the timing of this case, right? We've got that information for you right now at WTHR.com. Today's hearing is still scheduled for 9 o'clock. Despite all these new developments, we, of course, plan to be inside. And we know we've talked a lot about Richard Allen's legal team. What about Richard Allen? We will take a closer look at that coming up this morning at 6:30.
They're very crackly. Yeah, talk about gross negligence, right? Nobody, nothing. He did. He sounded glum. I know he did. So people have asked him like if he's going to take on the case. Well, he's actually licensed in Illinois. I don't know if he's actually licensed in Indiana where he could even take on the case, but it's not like that's not something that you could take very lightly. You can't just be, you can't just say, yeah, I'm going to put everything else aside, especially when you have a family that you have to support and you just go, okay, I'm going to put everything I can into this guy's defense pro bono. That was a huge deal when Rosie and Baldwin both said that, because there's no income there. There's no income for those guys if that's happening. And this isn't like, yeah, I'll take your case pro bono. It's a DUI. We'll go to court for a day and we'll be out. There's a lot to that. And obviously they've already been paid for the majority of the investigation portion, but they even said like 2-3 weeks ago before all this stuff happened, they said they still had 30 to 40 more depositions they wanted to do, which is why I don't think the trial would have ended up happening in January regardless. But all that would be done and they'd get nothing for it. If you have a family to support, I don't know how you do that. I mean, I guess if your significant other is, or you've got a nice little nest egg. So, and then somebody asked me yesterday whether I think the Rockaways, was that you that asked me that? I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Shane. Asked me if I think that the defense attorneys actually think he's innocent. And I don't know if they actually think he's innocent. I don't know. I think they can win. And I think that's more important, is that they can win this case. It's more important for them, not more important for us. But I think they feel like they can win because of all the screwy, grossly negligent stuff that's happened along the way. You know, we might feel very differently about this if everything that had happened was out in the open. If and I don't mean like the details of the crime scene, because I get why cops have to the investigators have to kind of keep that, so they have like the lack of false confessions and so on. I get that part, but the transparency from even Richard Allen's arrest until now, everything is hidden and then more hidden and then more hidden. Instead of more transparent and more transparent, I don't get that. And that is what I think creates a lot of our questions. Alley Cat, right? That's what I was talking about too. They're gonna end up being, they're like essentially forgotten in this mess. And at the end of the day, not even for them, I'm really worried about the families, because, and I hate to be crass about it, but Libby and Abby aren't here. It's the families who have to sit there and go, we have to live through this for the rest of our lives. If this is screwed up in any way, they're never going to be able to have any ability to move on. They're stuck. They're stuck here forever. Ah, Shane, it was you. Yeah, and I think that's a great point too. Take away the Odinism aspect of it, and whether there is or is not runes, why wasn't that investigation complete? Those are the things from the memorandum that were important to me. Why were things cut off? Why were things ended? It's not like they found the guy and they quit approaching those things. It's not like they found enough evidence to say, nope, this isn't the case. They just stopped abruptly. The defense attorneys think RA is innocent. They would stick their necks out like they have if they thought he was. They would stick their. Mata thinks the attorneys are convinced RA is innocent. I think either they believe he's innocent or they feel like they can win, and those aren't necessarily the same thing. Because if you notice, defense attorneys in general are doing their job essentially to protect the constitutional rights of all of us. Even if they think their person is guilty, it's not their job to determine their guilt in the court of law. It's their job to defend their client's constitutional rights. And if they can win, it secures the constitutional rights a little bit more. Right? And they stopped investigating all the other stuff. Yeah. JD, that's how I feel. And I know people disagree, and that's okay. That's how I feel. There's nothing on the record that says any of this, but I think maybe that's also the other point. Is she's like, yeah, good luck trying to appeal when, you don't have anything to appeal on. I don't even know, because there's no record of any of it. So good luck proving it. But what she says in court is, that is on the record. So. RL dies, then they arrest RA same year. So weird. I think he died in 2021, didn't he? Did he die in 2022? I flip ATS. I don't even remember anymore. If RA is innocent, then he's victim number 3. Sadly, I don't know if that man will be right again. I know what damage a mild case of PTSD can. Oh no, he's done regardless. Yeah, he's a disaster. That guy's. I don't know how you come back from that. Starts getting real corn-fed down there. It's a corn-fed county. The defense attorney. Oh yeah, we already read that one. Lack of transparency because it should not be tried in the court of public opinion. No, it shouldn't be tried in the court of public opinion, but it is the public's right to have access to how the judicial system works. That is part of what we are allowed as the public. So why? And then you have to ask yourself, why hide it? Why would you want to hide it?
sbabes.com.
No, thank you. I don't know what that is. No, thank you. I disagree. They just want to win. I think they really believe he's innocent. It could be both too. I mean, they could believe he's innocent and know they can win. It was early 2022. I can really only go with what my gut says, and my gut is telling me something's wrong. And do I know exactly what it is when it comes to all this corruption stuff? I mean, I can just blanket it and say I believe there's corruption. For me, I think there needs to be more looking into it. There needs to be more investigation into these things. Do I think it was Odinism? Probably not. Do I think it might have been people who were playing Asatru, as was said earlier? Very possible. I don't know. I don't have those answers. We don't have everything in front of us. And now we won't have it in front of us for a very long time. It wasn't complete because this could potentially go way deeper if it really is. Right. Right. And then the FBI said no, or the Carroll County and ISP said, no, okay, FBI, we're good. We don't really need your help anymore. And they just kind of went away. Come on. Pop up. Do you think they know that the state sucks and they think they can just roll through the case? Like the defense attorneys? Thank you, ATS. Johnny, do you mean the defense attorneys that they think they could just roll through? And that's possible too. Just about PTSD from something that happened. I don't know if I'll ever get past. I know that are you talking about something with your puppy, C-Dub? You know that's going to break me. Don't go to Gary, Indiana. It's not safe during the day. I lived in Indiana when I was young. I went to, what grades did I live in Indiana? Third, fourth, and fifth, I believe. Hey, see-through. No. So they filed to be pro bono, and then the judge today said, sorry, I can't allow that to happen. Oh, I was reading that article, and then damn it, Teresa. That stupid pop-up started playing. So Tuesday's hearing in Delphi started 40 minutes late and centered around disqualifying Richard Allen's former attorneys from representing him. I don't want to listen to you. Stop playing. From representing him and then setting a new trial date. Allen is accused of killing during the hearing. Allen's former attorneys, Baldwin and Rosie, were sitting next to him, and his newly court-appointed public defenders sat behind him. The judge told Richard Allen, I cannot and will not allow these attorneys to represent you. She then disqualified Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rosie from representing him, even pro bono. And she said, I'm sorry that this has happened, Mr. Allen. Baldwin's attorney spoke to the judge about his disqualification. He said the judge did not give them any notice of the alleged gross negligence on the defense's part, so they were not prepared for the ruling on them not representing Allen. He said the judge's summary ruling violates the Constitution and is unfair to Allen and his defense. Baldwin told the judge, Allen has asked us to represent him. Rosie then said to the judge, we're on a different page on how we acted. The state told the judge its concern is for Allen to have a fair trial. Allen's recently appointed public defenders asked the judge to push his trial back. It was originally set for January 24th. It's now the 15th through the 31st. In a filing, which actually I think it was the 16th through the 1st on the docket. In a filing, Allen's new court-appointed attorneys, Librato and Scremin, noted that they were appointed to the case October 27th and have not received discovery, stating it will be impossible for counsel to be ready for trial in January of 2024. Allen's attorneys said they have not talked to the state yet. A return of discovery is coming by end of week. And the prosecutor did not object to the appointing of new attorneys or moving the trial back. So now Richard Allen, a legally innocent man, is sitting in a prison for another year. What's up, TNT? That's what I said. I'm like, it's not going to take. That's going to be a lot longer than 2 weeks unless they don't have the evidence. Why do they think the case is only going to take 2 weeks? That's a pretty short trial for this big of a case. Hey, executive sessions. How you doing? Slick Nick knows Baldwin and Rosie would wipe the floor with them. Well, I think with the timeline that we laid out, it's pretty interesting that all of this happened to get them disqualified at the same time that the defense was pushing to have certain pieces of discovery disclosed. That can't be legal if they are pro bono. Surely Allen gets a say in who reps him. He's supposed to, yes. But she's saying that she made a finding that they had committed gross negligence. But there's no finding of that. There's no hearing. There's no hearing. There's no finding. There's no nothing on any court record that says that that happened at all. She just says that's what happened. I think there's a chance of that. And if he's guilty, then we're still going to the chance that this guilty guy is going to go free because all this is so fucked up. Do you see what I mean? That's not true. I can't do it from StreamYard, so I had to do it after when I could go into the live. So, but you have it now. Okay, C-Dub. I say a little prayer. Allen will not last another year in prison. The state will then close the case. Yep. And it will just be he was the one that did it, and none of us are ever going to know the truth. There will be some that will just go, yeah, well, he did it. So, I mean, it is prosecution's right. It's over. He did it. Can the Supreme Court intervene and remove all parties and start over from scratch? I wish they could. I mean, I think the Supreme Court could do that, but I don't know if there's any precedent to do that. At this point, what they're going to do is they're going to examine everything that Judge Gohl has done with the docket itself and see, or with the case record itself, and see if that could just remove her if she's doing it with gross negligence, let's just say. We see him in person today. This is him today, I believe. Yeah. Ad. God, I hate looking at articles because they just have the stupidest ads. Yeah, we see him arriving today. Hold on. Did somebody send me that? I think somebody might have actually sent me that. ATS, did you send me that this morning? Let me just pull it up. Is that it? Maybe not. Here it is. Then we won't have the ads. Let's see. Has Allen waived his right to speak? Okay, I'm going to pause this real quick because this was a big thing that I had. I'm under the impression that he waived his right to a preliminary hearing. I was trying to look back in the old court docs from that dump, but they're such a mess that I'm wondering, I just don't remember how that all went down, and I don't want to say Hybrid Pisces says he did waive his right to a speedy trial. Maybe not today, Truth and Transparency, probably on the 9th or the 10th. No, he was in his jumpsuit. He's not dressed in street clothes yet. Because there's no cameras in there. There's no cameras in the courtroom. And he technically would only need to be dressed in street clothes to be presented as an innocent man in front of a jury or a potential jury pool. I hope it is, Christine, but I don't think so. My feeling is that I don't think so. There's other people saying that it is under investigation, and I have no inside information. So, goodness gracious. I have no inside information to be able to say whether it is or isn't. So I can only go with what other people say. I've heard it is under investigation, and the other leaks from earlier are also under investigation, but I don't know. I have no idea. It should be, because it's a lot bigger than I think that we're being told that it is. And I think it's a lot different than we're being told that it is. And that's, once again, my tinfoil hat. But, well, not Delphi, Indiana is not. Apparently, it's just Allen County Judge Gold's courtroom. It still has to be a formal court proceeding to remove Allen's attorneys. The judge can't do this. And the response to that would be, well, she did do it, and now they just have to go higher and higher to get it overturned, get her decisions and her rulings overturned. Yeah, and they will typically shout out to the dog. The neighbor must have come out because she went berserko. But if there's cameras in the courtroom, then the defense can request that their client be able to wear street clothes because of the potential jury pool. They don't want the person to look guilty because then the perception is that they are guilty. Okay, let me keep playing this. I hope so. Yeah, I don't even know if we're ever going to see a trial. And everybody's like, watch, the new attorneys are going to be like, oh, yeah, no, they're going to find you guilty, so you should take a plea deal. And then we're going to have a plea deal, and that'll be all under seal or not even put out for the public, and it'll just be what it is. And we're all just going to have to go, yep, believe it. And then all the people who are like, yeah, he told you he was guilty are going to be like, yeah, see? I thought there was one that you could actually see more of his face. And maybe it's him coming out today that you can see it. But we get to watch him. We got to watch him arrive. Let me see if I can find the one where he's leaving, because you can actually see his face. She does. She sounds ferocious, but she's really not. She's just a big baby. But man, she sounds mean. Let me see if I can find the other one. Richard Allen leaving court today.
Welcome back, and we have some big breaking news coming out of Delphi, Indiana. Of course, we're talking about the case against defendant Richard Allen, accused of the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. We just hit the 1-year anniversary of the date of his charging announcement. And today, his new lawyers were going before the judge, but not without some big drama. I want to bring in the guy in the know about all of this, Court TV's.
I can't help it. I can totally say, you're fired. She's like, nah, I have a finding that says, no, that's not true. I'm not fired. Could you imagine if they did remove her and then she's like, I'm still coming to court next week too. I'm going to do what they did.
Crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, what in the world is going on here?
Another bombshell. And we talked about this on opening statements today, that the attorneys that were removed or withdrew from the case and then said that they wanted to stay on, well, now they were denied the ability to still represent him pro bono. This is the arrival of the suspect accused of killing Libby German and Abby Williams back in February of 2017, making his way into Carroll County Courthouse today. Remember, we didn't even get a chance to see him a week and a half ago when there was that emergency hearing after the leak of documents and those crime scene photos. That led to the judge holding that hearing and saying that she wanted them to appear before her, and then they withdrew.
Right.
Well, now the new attorneys have also filed for a motion to move the trial date from January, and they will now have the set trial date in October. But going back next year,
Matt.
this is a part of the document that was filed today for the pro bono.
Yeah.
This is filed by Andrew Baldwin, and it was also filed by Brad Rosie. And
The
in part it
original
reads,
attorneys.
The original
filed
attorneys.
motions to rep him pro bono, free of charge.
Free of charge.
Wow.
And Allen himself asked for this to happen. So in part it reads, Andrew Baldwin, also Rosie, enters his appearance as Mr. Allen's privately contracted lawyer. Attorney Baldwin acknowledges his prior representation of Mr. Allen, his contracted public defender, and reaffirms that he, Attorney Baldwin, did not and has not voluntarily withdrawn from Mr. Allen's case in the said capacity. The filing of this appearance is intended to convert Attorney Baldwin's status in Mr. Allen's public defender to Mr. Allen's private counsel, wherein Attorney Baldwin will move forward with said representation on a pro bono basis in the event that he is not reinstated as Mr. Allen's public defender.
Whoa.
This denied by the judge today. Fran Dole.
What?
Yes.
Okay, wait. So two major things
Yes.
have happened here. So the original attorneys who the judge said withdrew came in today on the date where the new attorneys were coming in to pick the new trial date, and they said, we're going to be really clever here and file pro bono appearances so that we're repping him for free. And then the judge says, oh no, I'm denying those two appearances for you original attorneys who have withdrawn.
She
That-
denied their request, according to Scripps News Indiana, citing gross negligence for her reasoning.
Wow. And that was what they wrote in their motions, pertaining to the withdrawal. Within the flurry of motions, she was saying, strike from the record. They were saying essentially she was going to admonish them and say they were grossly negligent in representing Richard Allen when the leak happened, or they could withdraw privately and maintain their dignity, right?
Exactly. And then now they have said, we never wanted to withdraw from representation to begin with. And they were filing motions saying that they want the Supreme Court in Indiana to intervene and remove the judge. And they want to stay on the case.
Right. And so that's going nowhere because the judge is still saying, off the case, off the case. So the judge is being consistent saying, you're off the case, you're off the case, you're off the case. Did not allow cameras in today when she did before, Matt Johnson. So we couldn't see what happened here. But we had wondered when you and I talked this morning on opening statements, was it going to be all four attorneys
Which it was.
battling? Right.
And the new attorneys, Robert Schremen and William Librato,
Yes.
they are in Allen County. This judge is in Allen County. Remember, she was appointed to the case after a judge in Carroll County, which is the Delphi area,
Yes.
withdrew.
Yes.
So she was appointed. And that's the reason why for that emergency motion and that hearing a week and a half ago that we were in her courthouse.
This is something else. Matt, this really helps to get the lay of the land. So she's familiar with those two new attorneys that she appointed. And so the ones who were previously court appointed offering to still work for free and represent Richard Allen, and he wants them, the judge is saying no.
So the big question now is, now that we have a trial date for next October, once again, a year from now, and the trial dates fall within Halloween. We have Halloween, 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 which is just weird in the case by itself, because remember that that announcement of his arrest was 1 year ago today. But now the question is going to be, since everyone is located legally in Allen County, will it change from a change of veneer to a change of venue?
Oh, that's a good question. We'll have to see. That may be the next motion. Filed, my friend, you're so smart.
She's like, wow, wow. They don't even get, I can't wait to hear as this comes out more today, what the other lawyers that give their input what they have to say. Because I'm just like, wow. Let me see what you guys said. Yeah, from the judge. Yeah. So imagine also, Angela, if the court appointed attorneys are coming from Carroll County's budget, and yet he has an offer on the table for pro bono attorneys that would cost the Carroll County nothing, and yet they would rather pay for him to have attorneys than to let him have the attorneys of his choice. If someone broke into Gull's house and stole a watch and the thief sold the watch, would Gull get charged? Kind of what happened with the leak. So, it depends. Did she leave her door open? If she left her door open, then that was negligent. Now, if she told them, hey, come into my house and take these pictures and put them out, then that would be gross negligence. And I think that is an important thing that somebody brought up in chat earlier, is the difference between negligent and gross negligence. And then somebody else was just asking, is there more? ATS News. That was my question when we were reading the emails yesterday, because she makes a comment in those emails where she says all of the recent events. And I'm like, what are all of the recent events? The only recent event is this leak. So is there something else that's happened? To make a determination on how I feel about whatever is happening right now, I really need to know more about what happened in chambers. But ultimately, it should have happened in the courtroom with Richard Allen present. There was no reason that didn't happen. And I know that there's some people out there that are like, well, the judge was kind of, giving them a little bit of a pass, like, hey, you guys don't want to be, I'm looking out for your best interest. You don't want to be embarrassed, so you might as well just quit, kind of thing. Like she was doing them a favor. I disagree with that. I disagree that she was doing them a favor, because now there's nothing on the court record where they got to defend themselves, and that's a problem. So if she had just gone in there and said, hey, here's the 6 things that have happened, and accumulated, those all become gross negligence, because otherwise it wouldn't continue to keep happening, then there's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go. Like, I can't in good conscience let you guys continue to represent this man, because you're going to cause an appeal based on bad representation of him. What happened today, I wish I could explain it in terms where I even understand it. Essentially, she just went in there and said, sorry guys, you might want to be pro bono. But it's also weird, because one of the things Bob said, now that I'm thinking about it, Bob said one of the things that she said when she first saw them was, what's changed in the last whatever amount of days. Why would she ask them that if there'd already been a finding that they were grossly negligent? There's just things that don't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. So essentially, Amanda, she just said, sorry, I can't let these guys represent you because I already have a finding that they were grossly negligent. And sorry, Baldwin, Rosie, you guys are out. Vibrato, Scremin, you're in. They didn't violate his attorney-client privilege. And then on top of that, Richard Allen has the right to say whether they did or did not. And he's saying whatever happened with this leak, he understands what could happen to his defense because of it, and he's fine. He still chooses to have them as his attorneys. Yeah, basically means obvious, but I mean, it's that's what I'm saying. He didn't like go, hey, here, come on in here and do it. He was negligent for sure. But what is all this? All the recent events? Yeah. Interesting, right? Especially knowing what Halloween is. But I don't think we'll have a trial on Halloween anyway. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. If Gull's former gardener stole a pair of hedge clippers 6 months later, is she charged with aiding and abetting? Not a chance. I don't know if I would line it up that way, but I see your point. Yeah, she refused to save the taxpayers. Well, it's not her county. So, I mean, the funds are coming out of Carroll County. I just feel like it was like a who was going to win kind of thing. And it was between the judge and the defense attorneys. Like, who was going to win that battle? And I just see like Nick McClellan like sitting back going like puppet master, like look at the fight. Like, I don't even have to say or do anything. Like, this is all happening without me having to even get my hands dirty. Yes, it is. Right. Not as of right now, but that motion is still out there. It's still a pending motion. And so somebody's going to have to close it down eventually. Either the new defense team will say, strike it, we don't want that hearing, or she'll have the hearing and then the new defense team will have to argue it. Yeah, it was her finding without a hearing. Or not even without a hearing. It's her finding, and yet they're grossly negligent and she doesn't file any complaints against them to have it looked into. The only people investigating it is freaking Holman and Nick McClellan. Like, what? Might she mean the guy taking his life played a part? Oh, like all the recent events because like of that too? But that, I mean, that's not that. I don't know how she could put that on them. I mean, her putting that on them is like me putting it on ISP that they went and talked to him at his work and probably caused a lot of issues since it was at an Air Force base. I mean, I think the guy taking his life, if that's the way that it went, which is that's what we're hearing, and I'm not going to go too far into that rabbit hole, but I do have questions. I don't think you can blame that on anybody. It's such a mental health issue, and there's obviously way more to why this guy would do something like that. I think it is too, because there's obviously plenty of conversations that are happening that we're not privy to. So why are we just seeing these little bits and pieces? Yeah, I'd be curious to see if Mitch came into some money after. Well, he has an affidavit, and we don't have access to that either. You can turn the autoplay for ad videos in the settings on your browser. Oh, really? All right, I'll have to take a look at that. Brian, if you know anything about me, I'm not that tech savvy. I don't know how to do all those little tricks. Biggest railroad job I've seen in a long time. Ironically that you say railroad. So if you have someone sign an NDA and they violate it by taking pics of you doing your job that's classified, then it's your fault. The guy was a former employee of like 7 years, I thought. Yes, correct. Yes. But then I also wonder how does that play in for Rosie then? Because he wasn't grossly negligent. Is it just because they're a team? And that's just how it is? Like, why wouldn't she say, Baldwin, there's no way after my findings of your gross negligence, you can't be here. Rosie, we need to have a different conversation. I don't even know how they're lumped in together when he didn't do anything grossly negligent. Why is he gone? I guess I don't understand that part. Just because they're on the same side? And then August is interesting when you look at it in the timeline, this dirty timeline, which I'm going to continue to call it because I feel like the timeline is extremely dirty. If you look at the time that they're saying that Mitch went into the office and took these photos, how does that date line up with the depositions of Holman and Liggett where the defense team saying they didn't even know we were looking into the Odinite stuff until the depositions in August when we started asking questions about it. And then all of a sudden in August is when Mitch goes in and gets the pictures. I mean, the timeline's just dirty. It could be. So I'll explain to you guys and then I'll probably have to wrap it up because I don't even, this whole thing is just a mess. But direct evidence and circumstantial evidence, right? The difference. Direct evidence, I'm an eyewitness. I saw whatever I saw, and I'm going to testify to it. Direct evidence, the person went and robbed the ATM. It's on camera, that camera footage, direct evidence. It's based essentially like you have somebody who's saying that they saw it. It's direct. They directly saw what happened. Circumstantial evidence is essentially the the prosecution saying we have this piece, and that's what this case is going to be. Obviously, it's going to be circumstantial. We have, I mean, those eyewitnesses. I'd be surprised they can even put them up there, but that's a whole nother thing. But we have Richard Allen, who says he was there between 1:30 and 3:30, or from 1:30 to 3:30, depending on what legal document you look at. He supposedly says both. Then that's circumstantial. So if he's there at that time, that gives you mere presence. Now you have that he's there at the time that the 213 video is taken from Libby's phone, and then you have that he has potentially the same clothes on, or he's saying that he was wearing the same type of clothes that are seen in this video that's on Libby's phone. Then you have him closer, so you have him at the bridge, then you have him closer to the crime scene because you put the unspent round, which matches the ejector from his Sig Sauer that they found at his house in 2022. So now you have him at the scene of the crime. So as the prosecutor, I have to tell you this story to show you guys why I believe that he's the right one, how we got from point A to point B. So circumstantial, it's basically, I need to create the steps in order for the jury or you guys to see that we have the right guy, and that you can infer if he says he was there and then he says that he was wearing the same thing, and we find an unspent round that matches his gun, you guys as the jury can infer that he is obviously the same guy that we're looking at on the video and that we believe killed the girls. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to kind of connect the dots. It's not perfect. It's not, hey, we have this trail cam that you can watch Richard Allen walk from the trailhead over here and then walk down the hill with the girls. That would be direct evidence. So for me, when I'm looking at this now, and if you look at all of the pieces from the defense team and the pieces from the prosecution and the memorandum and the things that are happening with the judge, I can line out a circumstantial case that there is corruption and that there is a political, or political is probably not the right word, but political agenda that's being pushed out to the public. Now, do I have all the pieces to say, you know, do I have the camera that's pointing to Judge Gull or Nick McClelland or, you know, Holman talking to Murder Sheet and Murder Sheet talking to Rick Snay or Mark Robert? Do I have the camera saying that? No, I don't. Or showing me that? I don't. But I have enough pieces to say circumstantially that there's something awry here and it needs to be looked at further, right? It's a circumstantial case against corruption at this point. So I hate when people just like try to blatantly tell me like, well, prove it. Okay, well, we'll prove that it's him. Like, I mean, like, we can't, neither one of us can, because what we have to essentially do is create a circumstantial timeline of events that show that something is wrong. And that's what I was trying to do a little bit yesterday with the timeline, is show you guys there's a reason that things are happening with the leak. There's a reason that these things are being pushed out. Why is the narrative being spun to us in a specific way? Why are we buying it? But I don't have direct evidence to give you guys. So I'm trying to work through all the circumstantial evidence with you so we can figure it out, because I think everybody, at least here, understands that something's off. Yeah, there's enough red flags to look into. So, you know, if there was one mistake, if the only thing that happened out of this case was that Tony Liggett accidentally wrote Muddy and Bloody, right? Like, they just accidentally wrote it. and just said, hey, we messed up. We were thinking, she said it could have been blood, and we just wrote it that way. And that was the only thing that was weird. We'd be like, oh, well, that's just a silly mistake, right? I mean, well, shit, we all make mistakes. We'll just move on. But then you have so much more that goes with that. You have the other eyewitnesses saying, no, the guy had all these different clothes on. Okay, perfect. That's all we've got. Then perfect. Then it's, eyewitness testimony is just not that great. It is what it is. Now you add in, oh, wait a minute. This Harvard professor said that there didn't look like Odinism. Wait, but did he? We don't know. We can't find him. We don't even remember who we talked to. Oh, wait. Yes, we do. We totally know who we talked to. And oops, sorry. He actually said it does somewhat look like Odinism, or could be Odinism. Then you have the whole timeline. Hold on, let me see. Unspent round was found after the fact between the bodies that Ellie says had been moved. Claim is round was ejected when side racked to intimidate. But that's free safety. I've said that 1,000 times. I was trying to talk to my husband about it because I'm like, that makes no sense. Why is your gun even out? They're dead. You're moving them from where you killed them over to this tree. Why is your gun out? What do you need your gun out for anymore? Did you already lose it? You picked it up, put it in your pocket, and it fell out? I mean, because now we're just taking more steps to make it work. And that's the same as a conspiracy. You got to take leaps to make the shit work. So why is there an unspent round by where the girls' bodies were found? You don't even need your gun out anymore. So no, I'm totally on board with you. It makes no sense to me. I feel so sorry for the girls' parents. Are they ever going to know the truth and see justice? This is crazy. Thanks for getting this out there. Well, and that's a main point I have. All the shit that goes wrong in this case is, whether you think innocent, guilty, it doesn't matter, because ultimately the families are the ones who are going to have to do this for the rest of their freaking lives because of the mistakes that are being made. Well, I mean, I could say 100%, or I could say 99, whatever. I'm just saying, you can absolutely infer from our circumstantial evidence that there is corruption and that there's not only leaks from a defense team. So if we're going to convict on circumstantial evidence, we have enough circumstantial evidence to say something shady's happening here. And I'm not going to just ignore it. Like, oh, okay, well, it is what it is. We need an Odinite to catch an Odinite, the movie. Incompetent Ellie, incompetent prosecution, and possibly an incompetent judge. The setup. The pictures taken for money and to get the two attorneys kicked off the case. I hope that there's a forensic accountant coming in and looking at it. I have an issue with the GoFundMe. I have an issue with Mark Robert Cohen's GoFundMe. Now, can I prove to you that it's, payment for photos? Obviously, I can't prove that to you. I think there should be an investigation into it, though, because the timing is very suspicious. Now, why would there be an investigation into it? Don't know, because I don't know what crime is technically being committed at that point. So would the resources even be worth it to spend doing an investigation if there's not a crime that you can attribute to doing it? It just is what it is. So then nobody talks about it anymore. And then we just have people paying for crime scene photos out there. I don't know. That's where I'm like, I don't even know the right answer there. That it's the investigating team that was done and believed it might have been a ritual killing. Why is Tobe still there? Well, he is the deputy sheriff or whatever the hell he is. I think they just want a conviction. But we'll see, because now we're hearing from people who talk to the leakers, we're hearing that there is other pieces of evidence that were found that we're not privy to. The rest of us peons out here in the public, we don't get to know that. But the leakers get to know, and the leakers get to leak the information, who then get to spin the narrative to us, and we just have to choose whether we believe it or not. And I'm going to need more to be able to believe it. Well, yeah, that's why they call him Slick Nick. Okay, I'll take a look at it. It is. And I know people are like, well, the Patty family wanted everything sealed. And I'm like, but the Patty family and Anna, they have like this ultimate faith in their friends in this judicial system, because they've known them, and they're like, no, we believe that they're going to do what's right for us. But there's also a bias when it comes to that, because they know them, and they just don't want to, either they don't want to believe that these people would do anything to hurt the case against their girls, or whether it has to do with the fact that they have to live there in the town that these people police. You don't really want to go pissing off all your local police department. I don't really know, but I know that in the memorandum, supposedly Purdy only found out about Odinism because Becky Patty brought it up and wanted it looked into. Or, yeah, it's either incompetence, or what do they call it? Reckless? What did he call it? Reckless or intentional? That's what the memorandum constantly kept saying, reckless and intentional or something like that. Yeah, one of them's lying. It can't both be right. But then they'll just be like, oh, it was probably just a mistake. It's just a oopsie, Georgia. They didn't mean to not have the same story. Because we're looking to ask for a specific amount. Does anyone have $8? Also noticed no mud on the white sole of Libby's shoe. If she was forced down the hill in mid-February, there would be mud, and the creek isn't flowing with enough force to clean a muddy shoe sole. That's interesting. I wonder if if these two lawyers were kicked off on purpose and those pics were leaked at a very crucial time, coincidence or something more. I think that there's enough to continue to look at it and question it. I don't know if there's enough to prove it. That's the difference. Yeah, McClellan needs to investigate it. Yeah, I have no sources. I got no source of info. Nobody's leaking anything to me. And that's what they wanted all along. Easy way out and back to business as usual, just like the Flora 4 and all their other strange suicide, fire deaths, etc., and on and on. Be interesting if there was any fire at this scene, because there's so much to do with fire in that area. Unsolved crimes having to do with fire. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, baby. I don't think they would investigate. One, to your point, no crime to arrest. This leak didn't. Two, this leak did exactly what they wanted it to do. Shut the defense down. Follow the money. Well, yeah, but we can't follow the money because we don't have the means to be able to follow the money. So, and then one major contributor in that just happens to not be alive to be able to tell anybody anything. And Maligator, I don't know if you're still here. I know that you were looking at that Robert account that I showed yesterday and said that it looked like it was deactivated. I mean, I can still get to the account. I just can't. I have no way of telling like who it belongs to. So Judge Gall from Fort Wayne, Allen County, same place as 2016 Holden video of Westfall at the tree ritual. Who was the priestess? She graduated from Valpo Law School. She graduated from there, or is that the judge you're saying, Cobalt Blue? The judge graduated from there, or the priestess graduated from there? They could be too. I have no idea. And now they're under a gag order essentially, so they can't even talk to anybody. Yep, they have our girls. They have our who's they? Who's they? Was it just a word that just happened to be used? But who's they? Teresa, that's funny. She must be a tour. I have no idea. You better not take your like back, and no, you're not blocked. Can't take it back. No takey backsies. Ask Judge Gold. She doesn't let you. Okay, I'll look. Hey, Meta Mom. Yeah, make sure you guys all smash the like button. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't even know what the next. I don't even know what we should talk about next in general. Because I don't know what's gonna happen with this. I don't know. I'll have to wrap my mind around it. I am curious. I know Bob said he was gonna go live later. I don't know when. I'm assuming I know he had a different live scheduled for tonight, but he's going to probably go live on it. And then I know a lot of other attorneys will probably go live on it. I'm going to be out trick-or-treating tonight. I won't be doing the trick-or-treating. I'm going to be the mom in the background, not in a costume, while I send the kids to the front door. But I do believe this is not over, and I think that's a very good final statement. And I know I went really early today, but I hope that you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday and go have a happy Halloween. If you got kiddos, go enjoy it. If not, make sure you turn your light out and pass out some darn candy. Don't be the Scrooge. Be good to the kids. I will be back tomorrow because I guess that's what I'm doing next. I do know what I'm doing next. I lied. I will be back tomorrow. I have a defense attorney that will be coming on with me to discuss the Delphi case and what he thinks of everything. And so we'll be able to. I'll ask. His name's Chris, and I'll ask him some of the questions that I have. I'm going to write them down, and we can ask him what he thinks of the legality behind just saying I have a finding that I never even had a hearing for. So that'll be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I think Crime Curious is going to come on with us, so that'll be good too. She's always got really good questions. 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be mañana. So once again, thank you guys for spending your morning/afternoon. Yeah, lights out means no candy. That means people won't come knock on your door. So turn your light on and hand out candy. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.